Hey everybody, I hope you're all excited. This is Leveling Chapter 1, 102. Oh boy, I'm gonna read it out for all of you. So, let's have some fun, huh?
I'm Elisa, the eldest daughter of the Rudere clan.
No, that's not what I meant. Jin Wu interrupted Elisa before she could finish her introduction. It wasn't Elisa's family or lineage that Jin Wu was interested in. Rather, he was more curious why dungeons like this demon tower and monsters like her existed in this world. But how do I get her to tell me what I want? No, even if she couldn't give me an answer, at least maybe she could give me a clue. Jin Wu remembered how Baruka had mentioned a constant voice in his head, and those of the other eye cells, telling them to kill all humans. But when Jin Wu had tried to get more information from Baruka, the eye self leader had froze, as if he had glitched out, and revealed nothing. Does that mean that these demons are getting orders too? Jin Wu decided to simplify his question for Elisa, in the hopes that he'd get the information he wanted. Do you have a voice in your head telling you to kill humans?
What?
Elisa stared back at Jin Wu with a dumbfounded expression on her face. Damn, not that easy, huh? Clicking his tongue in annoyance, Jin Wu grasped Elisa by the shoulders, forcing her eyes to meet his. As he narrowed his eyes and radiated his killing intent, he could hear her heartbeat increase, frightened by the sudden contact, no doubt. Good. It would make her more honest. Jin Wu tried again. Give me a second, guys. That's some good water. Is there a voice in your head telling you to kill all humans?
Ah,
Elisa agonized over Jinwoo's question, hesitant to respond. After a brief eternity, she finally opened her mouth to speak again.
well, there's no voice that is telling me to kill humans, but I do hear something else.
Which is?
The voice says, protect this place that is your home.
She chose her next words carefully, almost reluctant to say them, but her eyes never wavered from Jinwoo's.
We demons exist for a different purpose than those mindless beasts.
Monsters whose purpose was to kill humans, and monsters of a different sort whose purpose was to protect the dungeons. Two different types of monsters, two different functions. Wait, am I a monster from their point of view? Jinwoo felt a little sorry for Elisa in front of his bloodlust skill and the massive killing intent it caused him to radiate. Elisa's face had gone totally pale. He lowered his bloodlust somewhat and asked again, more calmly, for how long have you heard this voice? When was the first time you've heard this voice?
It's been there ever since I first opened my eyes here.
Wait, ever since you first opened your eyes here, does that mean you lived somewhere else before you lived here? Is that even possible? But whether or not these memories were fake, Elisa's belief in them was not. Jinwoo smiled inside. It hadn't been easy, but Elisa might have just provided him with the clue he was searching for. He carefully thought over his next question before asking it. Then where were you before that you first opened your eyes here?
The demon world. The demon world.
The demon world? What the heck is that? What were you doing in the demon world?
I was.
There was another pause, as if Elisa didn't want to speak again.
I was preparing for war.
War?
Yes.
So she remembers her time there. Elisa's face looked completely different than it had just moments earlier, when she was begging for her life.
We were on the brink of a great war against an enemy so terrible it had forced all the demons from around the world to gather. In fact,
Elisa's words were cut off before she could continue. Jinwoo blinked in surprise. It wasn't that Elisa had been cut off. No, to be exact, Elisa was almost certainly still talking. But Jinwoo wasn't hearing her. Her lips continued to move, yet it was not her voice that Jinwoo heard. Instead, in its place, a mechanical voice from the system had begun speaking. You have exceeded the allowed information threshold. This conversation has been blocked. You have exceeded the allowed information threshold. This conversation has been blocked. You have exceeded the allowed, the same monotonous message, drowning out Elisa's story, repeated itself ad nauseum until her mouth stopped moving. But even though Jinwoo had missed her entire explanation, his eyes gleamed with excitement. I didn't get everything from her, but still, I wouldn't have gotten this far if I hadn't pressed her so much. From what he had just witnessed, Jinwoo thought that Elisa's explanation was much more revealing than the system had intended. Level ups, quests, mission rewards, all of it. Everything was set up like a game. So it was no wonder that these monsters would also have such game-like restrictions placed on them, because the system had gone to such lengths to suppress Elisa's conversation. Jinwoo was now certain about it. This conversation with Elisa could have been the clue I was looking for. It was an obvious oversight in the system.
What mistake did I make?
Jinwoo immediately snapped his attention back to Elisa. He noticed as his face turned serious again that Elisa's expression had darkened, taking on an almost fearful look. I need some more water, oh my god. Though he could not hear it, Jinwoo was sure that she was responding to the voice in her head. Then he would have to keep asking questions while he still could. What were those terrible enemies you told me about? At the instant Jinwoo finished his question, Elisa froze, like a little toy whose battery had just ran out. Jinwoo looked at her frozen form, hopeful but not optimistic that she would respond. A low moan escaped from her lips. With that, her body went limp, unconscious. She collapsed into Jinwoo's arms. He made sure to grab her falling body and gently lay her on the ground. From what he could tell, she wasn't showing any abnormal symptoms, and her breathing was fine. However, there was a slight expression of distress on her face, which Jinwoo thought was caused by her unwieldy armor. Barehanded, Jinwoo grasped the armor and pulled it from her body. Clink! The armor fell off easily. Jinwoo then cut off her cape and curled it up, placing it behind Elisa's head as a makeshift pillow. Though it was a great amount of hassle for Jinwoo to go through for a monster, an enemy, Jinwoo had learned a great deal from the system, clearly more than it had intended, from the girl, and so he felt more gratitude than animosity towards her. A war in the demon world, against some terrible enemy, huh? Plus, the system overreacted really aggressively when she began talking about that terrible enemy. Does that mean they have something to do with the system itself? For a brief moment, Jinwoo considered the possibilities. What if this terrible enemy had reality-altering power? Could they even be responsible for what happened on Earth and what's happened to me? He shook his head quickly. Speculations would get him nowhere. Unable to come up with an answer, Jinwoo opened up the shop. He purchased potions that he thought might awaken Lisa, but to his dismay, none of them showed any effect. It appeared, unfortunately, that he would have to wait for her to wake up. Plop. Jinwoo sat down next to Elisa, replaying their conversation over and over in his head, analyzing everything she had told him, while she remained unconscious. Alright guys, I'm stopping it there for now. It's a little like half of the fucking chapter 102 for you guys, audiobook. Yeah, cool, great, okay. Yeah, enjoy it, have fun, bye, I'm gonna go hang myself now.